Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Come Back Stronger, where we give you stories from around the world, but mostly from North Florida, of people coming back stronger from obstacles, injuries, and setbacks. And today we have a special person that we're excited to introduce you to, Pastor Rudy Ferguson. And I am joined with my law partner, Kimmy Hogan, and we are going to introduce you to Pastor Ferguson. But first I want to talk a little bit about comeback stories, and how do you feel Pastor Ferguson exemplifies what it means to have a comeback story?
Oh, well, Pastor Ferguson in the beginning of his life was kind of going down a bad path, was hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
But then he went to a meeting, and that set him on a different trajectory, one of good people with a good vision for the future, and that just took his life in a totally different direction. So it made me think about our law practice and how we try to help people when they get injured to not have that as a bad life event that takes them down a bad path, but instead can be a catalyst for positive change in their life.
Well, that's the beauty of every good comeback story, is that you've got somebody that has gone through a really challenging event or a really challenging lifestyle, and then has been able to overcome it, and then after overcoming it gives back to the community and takes the lessons that they've learned to make somebody else stronger. And that's what's happened with Pastor Ferguson.
Absolutely.
And it's really, really exciting. One of the things that I like what you mentioned is the fact that when the conversations that we have with people, that just anybody in the community, you never know how it's going to change the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being kind, just being encouraging and being kind and showing people, or maybe encouraging people that they are, there's a better path for them, that can absolutely change their trajectory, and you don't even know it. So that's what happened with Pastor Ferguson. You're gonna hear more about the story as soon as we come back.
I recently had a new client, and she suffered a mild traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
And she had no idea what had happened that caused her to be injured.
Gotcha.
But it turns out she had fallen into a pit at an oil change station. And it was 100% their fault.
Oh, wow.
But
her injury made her not even understand
her injury, and
how
it makes me so frustrated, because folks that suffer concussions or mild traumatic brain injuries, it's really difficult for them to know what
remember,
happened,
right.
and to understand the difference in what their life was and what it is now, because of the nature of their condition. And so the insurance companies need to recognize the full value of that.
Yeah, instead of taking advantage of that very unique situation.
It took her family telling her, you need to call an attorney. Her family coming with her to the appointment to say, these are the differences, to get her in there, and now we're able to help her.
I love that.
Welcome back, everybody, to Come Back Stronger. We are about to introduce you to Pastor Ferguson. Stay tuned.
Hello, Pastor Ferguson. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dana, for having me here. It's a
Absolutely.
blessing.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you and I have known each other a while.
Yes, we have.
I think we met several years ago, probably at least 10 years ago, through something going on at the Tallahassee Urban League.
Tallahassee Urban League. And
Yeah.
so that's when we met, and it's been a very beautiful friendship and partnership in the community. So thank you again for everything that you have done
Thank
in
you.
the past and continue to do.
Thank you. And I want everybody to know who you are. Tell us a little bit first about what you do, what you're involved in right now, and then I want to get into your very special story of how you got to be where you are now.
Wow, this is a story that I've told so many times in my life. But what I do now, I'm pastor of New Birth Tabernacle of Praise, and that's situated in the Griffin Heights neighborhood. That's off of Alabama Street. And I grew up in this church as an usher, and some years later, the powers that be, the Lord would have me to become the pastor of the church. So I usually say that, from the back door to the front door, so to speak. And so I've been in that capacity for about 11 years now. I'm also the president and executive director of the Frontline Project, which is the umbrella company for the Dream Center of Tallahassee, which is a nonprofit organization that's geared to working with youth and families in disenfranchised community, in particular where I grew up. And so I'm also the chairman of the Tallahassee Police Department Citizen Advisory Council. I also serve as on the advisory council for the Leon County Sheriff Department. So I'm situated with law enforcement, as you see.
Yeah.
But all in all, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather, and all in all, I'm amazed what God has brought me thus far.
Yeah, you've been truly blessed. Well, you didn't start out that way.
Right.
Let's talk about your journey.
My journey began, I was born in Miami, in Liberty City, Florida. Came to Tallahassee. My mom decided it would be best that we live here because Miami was very much on the downward spiral for us.
Yeah.
Got to Tallahassee in the mid 80s. And so I began to take some rough path, finding some people that I thought, I can bond with, I can do dirt with, whatever it was. And misguided more so, and after you've been called bad so many times, but I realized as I got older it wasn't bad, just misguided without the necessary positive influences that I thought that I needed. Well, I made my way through the Tallahassee Urban League back in 1988, the summer of '88 in fact, and I thought it was beautiful. Well, actually, I thought that it was a setup. Can I be honest? It was a setup because, of course, I used to run with the boys from the Basin Street Boys and the Holden Street Boys, and back then there was a little tension between those two sides of town.
Okay.
And of course, they called it gangs at the time, and I don't think we ever had gangs like that at the time. We're just a bunch of kids who grew up together in the same neighborhood on the same side of town, basically. I found my way with the Urban League, and at first I wasn't going to go. And that's so important to me because I used to rap back then. Now I'm preaching, but I used to rap back then, and the boys wanted me to come. And I was like, no, man, I think I'm going to bypass. I think it's a setup. I think they're going to get us in their room, and the police are going to come out and arrest us.
Right.
But turned out it was great. And we did a rap video, Stop the Violence video, produced it. It was held at the Civic Center. 5,000 people showed up to see it, and I was elected to be the spokesman for the boys, and I began my journey talking, and then before you know it, the Urban League decided to hire me at the age of 18 as a peer counselor. And
you showed that leadership quality real early on.
Yes, I did. And I didn't know that I had it in me, but it really came out to be an awesome opportunity for me. And after that, staying there for a while, then doing things around the community, working with the schools, I ended up getting the attention of the late, great Governor Lawton Childs. And that was an experience that I wasn't expecting.
Tell us about it.
He newly created the Florida Martin Luther King Institute for Nonviolence, and it was hosted in Miami. And they wanted a youth representative on this board, along with senators and representatives. They wanted a youth perspective. And at the time, I had to be about 22. And so the governor, instead of calling around the state of Florida, he had saw a little article that was done on me. And he called me. Somebody from his office called me and said, the governor would like to meet with you. And of course, I was blown. And I went to the governor's mansion and sat down, talked with him, and he said, I want to make you my youth representative for this new board of directors.
What an honor. At 22?
At 22.
Were you expecting that phone call?
No. Only I just had a new family. I just got married, a couple of years, and cooped a few babies came in the scene. So I was working. That was my ultimate goal. But that opportunity really took me to the next level of the things that I would be doing. And so with that, I received awards for my community service by then former Attorney General Bob Butterworth, the Citizen of the Year award. So by making that one decision to go to the Urban League,
say yes.
That's the part. The say yes part. It really opened other doors up to other things that I never thought that I would be, which has led me to the point where I am now. And I've never received any awards in high school. Never got any honors in high school, and in part because of my behavior as a youth, misguided. But as an adult, I have received so many recognitions, and my wife asked me sometimes, she said, where are you going to put them all? I said, well, some at the house, some at the church, some I just don't have nowhere to put them, and I'm honored that people recognize me. And so throughout the years, I have just worked for the Urban League for a long time, and then I decided to launch the Frontline Project. I thought I had garnered enough experience and time and education, and I decided that I wanted my own company that would deal with the disenfranchised community based on how I saw it.
Well, you've said a few things, and on our second segment, I want to follow up on them. Number one, you've talked about law enforcement, and law enforcement is getting a really bad rap right now, but they are there, and they are a resource, and we have got to find a way to work together and make our community stronger, and you are a leader in that. I want to talk more about that. I want to talk more about those awards that you have been so blessed to have received. It's important to you to recognize other people, and you've done that, so I want to talk about that, and then let's finish with what you're doing now, what you got your hands in now.
So that works for me.
I can't wait to finish up.
Wow. So, you know what is absolutely fascinating to me is that he came from Liberty City, which is the hardest part of Miami. We're talking about the biggest crime rate, a very challenging place to grow up, and then he moves to Tallahassee, he gets involved in gangs, and yet because of this one organization that is a positive influence on the youth in our community, he ends up taking this to a whole different level, and at 22 years old, he is basically given an assignment by Lawton Childs.
It's amazing.
And absolutely amazing. Yeah, I think the most important thing to remember is there are resources in all communities. There are resources, there are people out there that no matter where you come from, no matter how hard your past has been, there are people out there that want to help. And it's being able to say yes to that resource.
And he went to that one meeting, and then he created a rap video called Stop the Violence. He immediately became a leader for his community. And just like that, it was so fast.
Yeah.
And now I love that he's created his own program for kids that were in his same situation, where now they get that mentorship, they get that opportunity, so that, as he said, he wasn't bad, he was misguided.
Yes.
So now he's given that guidance. I just love it.
Yeah, well, what I love about him the most is you see his calm and cool demeanor, but he's also, when the youth, when they meet him, he is exuding the success, he's exuding the confidence, he's exuding everything that the young people need to look up to in this world, and he is changing the people in this world. He's changing the people that he's helping, and that's what it's all about. So we are going to go to another commercial, but when we come back, we're going to see the second segment of Rudy Ferguson.
You know what's funny? When law firms advertise that they'll give a free consultation, every consultation we give is free, unless we can get you a settlement based on your injuries.
Right.
Every time you give me a call, it's free.
Yeah.
I want you to give me a call.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to charge you unless we actually get you something for your case.
That's right. You don't have to pay me anything unless I win the case.
Right.
And on top of that, I'm going to pay for all of the court costs and the deposition costs and medical records costs and expert opinions costs. All of that's coming out of my pocket, and if we don't win the case, then we eat those costs at no charge to you.
Right. So we don't take a case we don't believe in because it's not in our interest.
Right.
And we don't minimize or devalue your case because that's also not in our interest.
Right.
So it makes everything fair.
If you have a lawyer on a contingency fee, you can hire the very best lawyer.
Welcome back to Come Back Stronger, where we have been talking to Pastor Rudy Ferguson about his comeback story and about what he's bringing back to the table, bringing back to the community after his amazing comeback story. So stay tuned for the next segment.
Welcome back to the second half of your segment, and we could go all day long on everything that you've done, but I want to talk some of these awards. You know, you've been honored with so many awards, but you like to recognize community leaders and the people who've made a difference in the communities you care about, or the communities you come from, the communities you serve. Tell me about what you do through your Dreams Foundation, your Dreams Gala, your Nehemiah Awards, those sorts of things.
Well, I believe that with my gala, it was so important because I wanted to honor those people who had helped me to accomplish the things I did in my community, because I couldn't have done it without the help of Dana Brooks, without the help of of a lot of Joe Bullard and all these different people, Lenitra Bennett, Greg James, all these other individuals who played a major role in our community. The Nehemiah Award, for those who know it's biblical, Nehemiah just worked hard to rebuild the community where he came from. And everybody played a role in helping Nehemiah meet his vision. And I thought that was so important. So, of course, it's always great to remember where you came from, how you got there, and also who helped you get there. Never, a moment where I'm not looking back to say thank you to the individuals who helped me become a very strategic young man, and I'm excited about that. So the awards that I've received, so many of them. I just recently received an award from Sheriff Walt McNeil. Got the award of a deputy honorary deputy sheriff. Yeah. He said it's only good for me to get a sandwich right now. And, no arrest, no handcuffs.
What about a donut?
No, maybe a donut, right? But it's just an honor to be recognized with that. And I received awards again from an accommodation from Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, some years ago. Had the honor to meet him and talk with him. Yeah. And so if I couldn't name them all, because I know I would miss some of them, but the most important recognitions that I believe that really gets me is the ones that my sons, they recognize me. And my sons, said, "Pop, you remind me of a Dr. King, or a Malcolm X," and I'm so excited that my sons, because if your sons and your children don't honor you, it doesn't really matter what the people outside.
It doesn't seem as real
Right.
what the other people think if you don't have the true respect
Right.
and honor of the people closest to you,
That's
who
exactly
are looking
right.
up at you every day and saying, "I need to be like him."
Right.
That's a powerful responsibility. But boy, you have nailed it. You have put 3 good young men into this world, and that's all we could ever hope to do as parents, is just make good contributing members of society. Yeah,
Thank you.
Hit that one out of the park.
Thank God. I'm now moving on to another chapter.
Well, you didn't do it by yourself.
I didn't,
You
right.
have a lovely, lovely wife. And tell us just real quick about her recent accomplishment.
Well, my wife of 29 years, we've been together 30. 29 years, she is a mother of 4. And also a grandmother of 5.
Oh.
And so throughout it, I watched her really push throughout the 20 years of going to school, back and forth with children, being a wife, being a mother, being a housekeeper, things of that nature, keeping things in order, and in the midst of it, still going to school to pursue her dream of becoming a school teacher and working in the education system. And so to see her accomplish this past April, to see her face, to see the smile and the tears, because she really cried on the way to graduation that Saturday, and just to be able to do that now is a very pivotal moment for her and direction she wants to go. Now she works for the state, but I think she's looking more towards now really walking into her calling, and that's working with young people in the school. So I'm really excited about her, as we all are.
And I know she did that with your encouragement, just
Yes.
like you do what you do, because it takes a village to make our communities better.
Yes, ma'am.
In that village, though, we have law enforcement. And and whenever you said that in that first segment about being very trepidatious about going to this event at the Urban League, you thought it was a setup. There is a natural mistrust in the African American community with law enforcement that I have observed. Not being a true member of the community, I can't speak to that. Can you tell me what you deal with in trying to get your community to embrace the good intent of law enforcement, build them up so we can all support each other and really raise up the community as a whole? Speak to that.
I think it's most important, speaking as a black man in a predominantly black community, the distrust that we've had is gone on a very long time. And
it's well-founded.
It really
This
is.
is not, hypothetical. People have
Right.
had experiences. We see it. But now we're seeing only that.
Right.
So
the thing that we deal with, in particular with black men in the community, they feel that there is no way out. They feel that if they are stopped, there's a strong possibility that they will be killed. They feel that they will be unjustly arrested, something planted in the car. I've had my moments as a young man in the 80s of being pulled over by law enforcement, Tallahassee Police Department, in fact, to pull me out of my car at the age of 17 and to just search my car, me not knowing the law or rights, anything of that nature. And back then they had a way of putting our hands on a hot hood of their vehicle, making us sit on it or something like that nature. And so we had major distrust with law enforcement, and it's still there in our community. My role in particular is not necessarily to back the blue.
Right.
Or even to condone my community may be out of line or something that's went wrong. My ultimate goal is to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Hopefully that we can bring some type of continuity, some type of trust. It takes a while. And I don't think that I'll be able to do that it immediately, but we are working towards that type of partnership.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before we did that, but it's coming.
I went to a breakfast and it was attended. It was law enforcement, it was police and sheriffs, and we heard from Sheriff McNeil and the chief Rebel, and they were talking about a lot of efforts to really to work on this. You know, whether it's just going out with the officers who work in those communities and just say, hey, why don't you come and have some snow cones? Let's have a talk. Get to know your officer. You know, we're here to serve and protect you.
That's right.
And I love that. Some other things is they're looking to put some mental health clinicians in some riding with some deputies and some officers, so we can kind of diffuse some situations, and so they don't always end up in an arrest and someone entering the criminal justice system, because you know what happens then is pretty much a foregone conclusion.
That's right.
Your life looks totally different, and the jobs and you know, life available to you is going to be much different after you have that experience. So I appreciate your leadership there.
Thank you.
But let's end today with telling me what you got going on right now. What are your current passion projects?
Well, my current passion project is to reopen the Dream Center. And now that the world has seemed to be reopening, so to reopen the Dream Center and to look at it from a different perspective, of turn it into a resource center rather than just having classes, but more so a resource center, helping younger people realize that they do have dreams. And dreams beyond rapping, dreams beyond the NFL or NBA, but dreams that they can actually achieve immediately. And I'm spending more time with me. That is my new passion.
Yeah.
As I approach 50 in about 31 days, I
remember that.
I'm still, but then you don't look close to nowhere near 50. So, but I'm so excited about the new chapter that has that's been presented to me. And so as I prepare to do some new things, I really want to spend more time with my sons as they pursue their dreams. My son in Atlanta, my son here in Tallahassee, my son's here in Tallahassee, and my daughter who lives in Orlando. So that is my passion as I hopefully one day approach the time when I can retire from pastoring. I don't know when that will be, but I would like to spend it somewhere on the beach.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't?
Right.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor, so much for joining us
Yes,
today. This has
ma'am.
been a great interview.
Thank you
Please
so
come
much
back.
for having me. I will. Thank you so much, Dan. Always.
Well, I don't know about you, Kimmy, but I want to be like Pastor Ferguson.
He is awesome.
Isn't he cool?
He's awesome.
What were your big takeaways?
All right, so I loved how Dana says it takes a village to make our communities better. And I can see that Pastor Ferguson is doing that in so many ways. First of all, he's being a leader himself with the Dream Center to try to help other kids get on the right path. Then he's raising good kids himself. Then he is recognizing other leaders in the community with the Nehemiah Award to encourage them to keep going. And then he's going in and he's trying to bridge the gap between his community and law enforcement. I mean, this guy is working on all cylinders.
Well, I find it fascinating that he's been on both sides, in the sense that he was in the side of hanging with the crew or hanging with the gangs and being in the rough part of the city where there's that major distrust of law enforcement that is completely justified in many cases. And then on the other side, he saw how there are people in the community that really want to help, that really have good intentions. And so he is the bridge. He is the one that bridges that gap. And I find that really cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
The thing about the challenges that we face in life, this is absolutely fascinating to me, that the challenges we face in life, they determine our highest and best path. You don't find your highest and best path by the easy stuff, the stuff that comes easier, the stuff that is enjoyable. Usually you find your highest and best path by the challenges that you face and overcome, and that gives you the fire and the drive, which is exactly why this is a young man that has developed into a grown man that is out there doing so many things to change the community, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because he lived it himself.
Yeah, he lived it himself.
I love
Very
it.
cool. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much. We are going to go to another commercial.
I went to lunch with one of my former clients the other day, and she's doing great. She took the money from her settlement and she started her own company buying and selling vehicles.
Oh my God.
Which is really cool because she was in a car crash and then needed a new vehicle. And so now she's able to help other folks out.
Most of our clients, they find that one of the most frustrating things is the dealing with the vehicle.
Oh, well, losing your car can totally disrupt your life.
You can lose your livelihood over it. If you can't get to work, or you know, what's the worst thing with our clients is we're just trying to help them get well. But if they can't get to the health care that they need, you know, that's just another setback.
One of the typical things about a comeback story is you take the pain and the struggles and the challenges that you've been through and you use that as the fire that kind of motivates you to do something good for other people.
Yeah.
And so I love that because now our client did exactly that, like literally to the T.
Kimmy, one of the things that I think kind of stands out from Pastor Ferguson's story is how the Urban League was such a pivotal part of his transformation. And so what's kind of exciting to think about is that there are so many organizations that are out there that can help people change their entire lives. For example, I'm big on the I'm a big fan of the Treehouse. I was a board member and president at one point of the Treehouse, which brings young children who have been misplaced, and then they're able to place them into a home that's safe and secure. What kind of experience do you have with other organizations in town?
Well, I also really like the Boys and Girls Club because that helps youth that maybe don't have a bunch of resources and gives them what they need if they need food or clothing or something to do after school and puts them on a good path. It's all about mentorship because sometimes moms and dads are so busy just trying to make ends meet, you know, and they don't have all the time or the resources to help the kids. And so if we can come together as a community, you know, it does take a village to raise kids.
It takes a village. But I think the important point is that the resources are out there. There are people out there, there are organizations out there that no matter what struggle you're going through, there are people that can help you if you're only willing to say yes, open yourself up, and take that help. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It has been such a pleasure. We hope that you tune in next time to Come Back Strong.
And you know what the insurance company offered him? $5,000.
Really?
He's completely blind, and they offer him $5,000. Ask him to sign a release.
To a lot of people, especially when they're hurting and when they're down and when they're vulnerable, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money. And they're not looking at the value of what has been lost. They're not looking at what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job. That's our job. Their job isn't. Their job is to save the insurance company money. And they look at this person and they go, I bet $5,000 would get your full attention. And they come in and they dangle it with a settlement release, and then once you sign it, you're done. You can't come back to us and ask us to wave a magic wand and make that go away. That can't go away.
My client didn't accept the $5,000. We took him all the way to trial. We got a $5 million verdict.